Hey Sky Fam, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Ariel Rose, and today I want to tell y'all some things to not do before training, and then I'm gonna get into this Q&A because I realize y'all ask me a lot of the same questions, and it makes me wonder, do y'all really be watching the videos? But I'm gonna still answer them for y'all because I care, and I want y'all to be as prepared as possible. Okay, so yeah, let's get into this. The tea flavor of the day is wild sweet orange. Yes. Cheers. I get a lot of DMs that's like, can I get some advice for training? And y'all, I could have sworn my whole channel was advice, but I'm still gonna give it right now. Okay, one of the things that I want to say is don't focus on those videos that are just telling you how difficult it's going to be, that's going to make you nervous, that's going to make you anxious. That does not help you prepare whatsoever. Try to focus on the benefits and the outcomes of when you are actually done, as opposed to stressing about getting through it. I'm sure that's probably easier said than done, especially being on the other side. But if you really go into it not thinking of the worst case scenario, like wondering if you're gonna flunk out or something like that, go into it. I've said this before in a previous Q&A, picturing yourself with your wings after the fact, focusing on one task at a time. You will be fine, I promise. I've gotten a lot of questions about how soon you get your information packet. This might be different across different airlines, at least for mine. How soon you get your information packet after you get your CJO, and how soon you get it before you go to your training date. They do inform you, you will get it a minimum of 2 weeks prior to your training date. I promise it's enough time to study the material. Because honestly, I didn't start studying it the day I got it. Like I didn't spend a whole 2 weeks studying it. But it's information that you will absolutely get the logistics of it. It's a very large company, y'all. Every single one of these airlines are very large companies. I promise they have the logistics of it done. If you have your CJO, they're going to get you your information packet with more than enough time for you to be prepared to actually go and be prepared for that first exam. Now, the first exam, because that's what y'all love to ask about and that's what y'all love to be scared about. I promise it's so much easier than you think it is. I promise you, everything that you need to know in it and to pass it will be in those information packets that you're provided. It's not meant to trick you. I don't feel like I was given questions like that when I was taking my exams. I feel like there's usually a pretty clear answer, and it's not like trick questions. Like I really don't feel like I experienced that. So if it sounds off, it probably isn't the right answer. Don't focus on the difficulty of that first exam. It's actually pretty elementary. Like the exams further into your training will definitely be heavier with material, and you really have to know like legitimate details and information with those other tests. But this first test, it's very elementary. It's everything that you'll need to know. You will be provided that information at least 2 weeks prior, and you will do fine. I believe in you. No one has ever messaged me or DM'd me and told me that they failed. And I get a lot of messages from y'all. So I believe in you. You're good. I promise, okay? This is another big thing, and I've gotten some questions about this, like should I learn the doors beforehand and should I learn certain protocol? Do not worry about learning anything that you're gonna learn at training before you go to training. My thought process on this is that you have no information, you have no context on what you're learning. Like if you go on YouTube and you watch even one of my pre-flights, or if you watch a door pre-flight or an opening door, you don't understand all the small finger things that's there. You don't understand the protocols before and after it. You just have none of that context unless someone's going really deep into videos like that. And still, like, I don't think that it's very beneficial to you. Take training a day at a time and learn everything in training. Don't worry about trying to learn all this stuff before you go to training. Learn it there, because each company has slight differences. And even if you're coming from a different company, just go into training and focus on what your new company is now teaching you, because you bringing protocols from another company may not even be helpful to you. I've had, I think, one person say that they were tested on airport codes. No, we weren't tested on airport codes. And I think everybody I know that's ever been at a mainline has never been tested on airport codes. I wish I could remember. I remember seeing that comment in particular, and I can't remember what airline they said they were with, but I don't think it was a mainline, and it definitely wasn't mine. So overall, don't worry about airport codes, especially for that first exam, especially if it's not specifically said in black and white that they're going to test you on that. We were never told we were going to be tested on that. Now, we were tested on time zones. Absolutely learn time zones. Now, what helped me learn time zones was color coordinating a map. And maybe I'll insert a picture of that right here. But that's what helped me, was color coding the map. And even with the time zones, because like some states split time zones, just focus on the majority of the state. Even with that, there wasn't a trick question with that. Like, I remember being asked about a time zone, but I could not have been in a split time zone like state or city. Like, it's really, I don't feel like they really genuinely tried to trick you. Those are my what not to do before you go to training. Now, once you're in training and you are a flight attendant as well, let me go back into some of these questions for this smooth little Q&A. And if y'all have more questions, y'all know y'all can always leave them in the comment section. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It's the little things that help. And then you liking this video can help it show up on someone else's page that also needs to see this, okay? Okay, so now let's really get into this Q&A. So this is actually a very good question. And I don't think I've really talked about it extensively, so let's get into it. When you will actually get your transition from your graduating date to your IOE, and what that space looks like and what that transition looks like. So for me personally, I had about 3 weeks between when I graduated training and when I finally got notified of my IOE. So I got notified of it probably 3 weeks, and then I probably went for my IOE basically a month later. For your IOE, I can't say exactly how much time you'll have. There were some people that were in later classes in 2021 that didn't get notified of their IOE until like 4 or 5 weeks after graduation. So I can't say exactly how much time you'll have between graduating and your IOE, but once you are finally notified of your IOE, your initial operating experience, that's the last part. And frankly, I don't even think mainlines have that, because they have like 2 days that they do like on an actual aircraft while in training. We don't do that. So you don't start flying. You don't finish training and start flying. You finish training, do your IOE, and then you start flying. So it's a slightly different process. So once you're notified of your IOE, you're also notified of your moving dates. So with us, we are given 4 days, and you're provided accommodations during those dates. And you have to select them with the company and all that, and that'll all be fully explained to you when it's your time to do that as well. But you'll have 4 days, 4 moving days, and you'll have a hotel for all those days. You can use those days to find a place. You can have a place already found, a apartment, a crash pad, whatever you want, during those days or before then, and you can actually use those days to move into your crash pad or your apartment. Either way you want to spin it. I just used my accommodations, and I was looking for somewhere when I went, but we all know how that worked out. And if you didn't, here's the crash pad horror story. So someone asked if you can use your flight benefits in between graduating and your IOE, and absolutely you can. If you haven't watched my Playa del Carmen travel vlog, that was during my in-between. That was me treating myself to graduating. You start your benefits while you're in training. I think it's maybe around like week 3, you finally, because our training is 4 weeks, it's 32 days, 31 days. I feel like I haven't been in training forever. It's almost been a year. But yeah, while you're in training, you start using your benefits. Now, we get benefits. We automatically get benefits, everyone in the company, with 2 of our carriers. Depending on where you're based is if you get that additional third or fourth carrier. Now, this is something to think about if you plan on moving for your base, if you want to work under a certain company more than others. These are things that I mentioned in the how to pick the perfect base for you video, if you haven't watched that. But if you know you really want a specific carrier's benefits that aren't automatically given to you, you should think about that when you're choosing your bases. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so I got a lot of comments about this from my how much regional flight attendants are paid video when I was talking about money coming out of my check for flights. And there was like a stampede of people that were like, so you don't get your flights for free? Isn't that the point? Like, aren't those your benefits? Listen, domestically, we do fly for free. Y'all, I fly to work. There's no way that I was going to be paying for flights to commute to work. If that was the case, people would not be commuting as much as they do. To fly domestically is free, but when you're flying international, you do have to pay those taxes. Now, depending on what country you're going to, it might be a small amount. I think the smallest tax that maybe paid was around $40, but then if you go like to London and you pay the Queen's tax, like that's going to be like a $200 ticket. In the grand scheme of things, $200 to fly to London is not bad, but I mean, you could also fly to like France for like 60 or 80 bucks. So it's just what you choose to do and where you want to go. But that's what I was talking about, money coming out of my account or out of my check from me traveling internationally. And I did specifically say that from you traveling internationally every month, there is, because I just have it automatically deduct from my account, because I feel like that's easiest. That's the same money I would have spent paying for the ticket. So you might as well just go ahead and take it out of my account. Everybody's happy. Okay, so someone was asking if you have to do pre-flights on deadheads. No. So when you're deadheading is when you are sitting on the flight as a passenger, but it's still a part of your whole assignment. Like you're still working, you're still getting paid for sitting as a passenger when it's on your schedule, but you're not working the flight. When you're deadheading, you're not working the flight, so you do not have to pre-flight. You're gonna board with all the other passengers just like everyone else. So you're literally getting paid to sit and fly from one spot to the next. Deadheads are great. If you can pick up, I don't pick up trips, but if I were to pick up trips, I would definitely pick up trips with deadheads because it just makes sense. Someone asked if you have to dress in business attire to fly to training. Yes, you fly to training in business attire and you fly home from training in your uniform. So that's the to and from, and probably one of the same outfits that you would wear in training, because packing wise, that makes sense, y'all, you know? So, I mean, it's just pieces that you can reuse. I mean, be comfortable as you can, I guess, but for most people, well, who knows? Because I actually had to take 2 flights to training, so that was not a short day. But they've also changed the policy since I've gone to training that they'll fly you out from anywhere, not just one of our bases. So lucky y'all. And then someone asked, how far out is your training date from your hire date? For me, mine was exactly a month. I got hired and I was told my CJO, and my CJO was exactly a month later. So that was for me. I don't know if it's always an exact month, but for me personally, that was my experience. I got hired, I got my CJO, and my CJO was exactly a month later. So I've gotten questions about if you should continue working at your current position, if you're currently working, when you get hired in the in-between for your CJO. Personally, I did. I didn't plan on staying at the job I was at when I got hired to be a flight attendant. That was going to be a temporary job for me anyway. And so once I got my CJO, I just put in, a notice, and it was frankly more than 2 weeks. It wasn't even just a 2 weeks, but I let them know what my last day would be. And because I had no intentions of coming back to the job. So if you have a great relationship. I think I've said this before. If you have a great relationship with management, if you want to stay on at your job, if they're willing to let you pick up shifts whenever, things like that, still communicate that with them. And, you know, if you can work there on, you know, your days off and things like that, especially if you're not a commuter and you're able to live in base, yeah, definitely. If you want to keep your job on and you have that ability to, I think that's great. Same for, and especially if you end up having 3 to 5 weeks, like some of us did after graduation, you're not paid between graduation and your IOE. If you're able to maintain that job or pick up a side hustle, or I don't know, I wouldn't say necessarily pick up another job post graduation, because that might be a little more stressful than it needs to be, but do whatever you need to do to survive, bro. I mean, that is everything that I have for now. I hope it was helpful. If you still have questions, which I'm sure y'all do, and it's perfectly fine, I promise, guys, just leave them in the comments. I usually do reply to comments on YouTube quicker than I reply to them in DMs, but still feel free if you have specific questions regarding your own particular situation, and I will try to get back to you as quick as possible. Please remember to subscribe, and until next time, bye, Sky Fam.